Hey guys, it's Stu49 and Avermedia recently sent me the Live Gamer Extreme, and I'm going to be comparing that against Dxtory and how well it works on recording on the PC. But this thing is meant to be used for using it on the consoles for recording on the PS3, PlayStation 4, Xbox 360, and Xbox One. That's where you're going to see its real benefits because it's got some great settings to it. You can record at 60 frame rates and at a really high bit rate. But I'm going to be using it on the PC because the whole point of that is to reduce the stress on the CPU and the GPU so that all my computing power is going to be used towards gaming and not towards rendering or recording my game content. And I've noticed that on the PC I had to use a virtual audio cable in order to be able to record the game audio, but I'm sure with newer drivers they're going to be able to update it so that it can record multiple audio lines. But anyway, let's get this started, and I'm going to be showing you this recording with 3 different games, so let's see how well this works. Okay, so to start it off, we're going to be doing it in Counter-Strike, and I want you to look in the top left. That's my frame rate. When it's green, that's my default frame rate, but it's recording with Avermedia. When it turns orange, that's me recording with Dxtory. So you can notice that I actually have a much higher frame rate when I'm recording with only the Avermedia, but as soon as I record with Dxtory, the frame rates drop. Now remember, Avermedia acts as a screen capture, and all the recording power is literally done in the Avermedia capture card, so there's no stress on the CPU or GPU at all. The only point where you see stress on the GPU or CPU is when you record with Dxtory. That's why you see a frame rate drop. Now to some of you saying, oh, you have higher than 100 FPS, it's not a big deal, but I'm sure for those of you who have played Counter-Strike, you will notice a difference between having 200 FPS and 120 FPS. You kind of feel like your movement of your mouse is a little bit off. Now in general, what happens is when you see a lot of environment, your frame rate goes down, but when you see a little, your frame rate goes up. So this is just recording with the Avermedia. Notice now that when I turn on the Dxtory, my frame rate's dropped already looking at a lot of environment, but when I go down looking at a little, my frame rate goes up. So you see about a 20 to 40 frame rate difference using the Avermedia or using just Dxtory. Now I do want to point out I have a really good PC, so you will notice a huge difference on a lower end PC for using an Avermedia card. So using an Avermedia card really does cause you to have much higher FPS on a lower end PC as opposed to a higher end PC, which is my PC, but you still even notice a difference in frame rate. So I decided to step it up a notch, and why not make it record on a game that is known to give you really bad frame rates, that is poorly optimized, and that is Ark Survival Evolved. And basically with Dxtory you can already see a frame drop, but when I turn it off, I only see an increase in about 4 or 5 frames. It's really not even noticeable. So between Dxtory and Avermedia on a game that gives you bad frame rates, it's really no difference, but maybe it's just my PC. I can't really tell. So I decided to go to another area where it's now got lighting, different forms of lighting. So now I'm going to see a difference in GPU stress basically, and I didn't really even notice a difference in frame rate. Again, this is using the Avermedia right now. You can see my frame rates are roughly around 30 FPS. It's really not playable at this frame rate, to be honest with you. But then when I turn on Dxtory to record with it, it's again the same issue. There's really no big difference in frame rate. You don't really see an increase or a decrease. But then I said, okay, well, why not try a different resolution? So now with a smaller resolution, I noticed that, yes, I did get more frame rates, and this is just recording with the Avermedia card, but as soon as I turn on my Dxtory to start recording with that, again, it's literally just about 4 to 5 frame rates difference. It's not that big of a difference. Now the question is, does that make you want to actually go out and use Dxtory or use Avermedia? Honestly, there's no real difference between the two when it comes to Ark Survival. So let's try this out in Battlefield now. So now in Battlefield 4, a game that everybody usually plays, especially on my channel, you can notice the frame rates are about 150 going up to about 160, but then when I record with Dxtory, they drop to about 140 and start to fluctuate, and this is a problem. When frame rates start to fluctuate like that, especially when it comes to recording, you can see the recording FPS on the right, which is about 52, 53, 54, and it keeps jumping up and down to about 80 and then down to 40. That causes bad lag, delay in your video when you're actually going to edit it. So you cannot render that video in 60 FPS, you'd have to render it in 30 FPS. And that could be a problem, whereas Avermedia is constantly recording at 60 FPS. So there are benefits and downfalls between the two. So overall, I'm gonna basically say that the Live Gamer Extreme is really meant for console recording and a low-end PC recording. So basically, it's gonna be great for the PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and a low-end PC, especially when it comes to live streaming, because the Live Gamer Extreme also allows you to live stream with it. But when you're live streaming, what happens is you're putting a lot of stress on your CPU, and that is going to really reduce your frame rates in games that you play. So using a Live Gamer Extreme, it's going to really reduce that stress on the CPU and allow you to be able to game to your fullest extent, have high frame rates, and not reduce that frame rate while you're gaming and streaming at the same time. So anyway, guys, that sums it up for my review on the Live Gamer Extreme. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. But anyway, guys, I'll catch you guys later.